Hi, and welcome to our show. You know, this is the time of the year where we all make resolutions. We think about where we've been and about where we're going, and somebody who deals with this on a daily basis is here to talk with me about that. Robyn Williams from the Choice Center. Now, the Choice Center, enables you to deal with people's, well, why don't you explain what it is that you deal with?
Well, actually, we're a leadership university, and part of our coursework is first, and number one is always identifying where I am, where I'm going, what's my vision, what's my plan. So we teach people how to take a look at where they are and how to get where they want to go, pretty much in any domain of life.
Now, it seems that most people have the same issues this time of the year. I mean, they have the same kind of resolutions. I want to lose weight. I want to exercise more. I want to stop smoking. And it seems it's year after year, people make the same resolutions. And what is it? They don't take them serious? Because they, the next year they're making the same resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, look at America and look how overweight most people are. Why is it that when people say they're committed to do something, that it doesn't last?
I think the number one reason is people lose track of why they had that goal to begin with. So, we all have a vision, if you will, or a big picture. Why do I want to be healthy and fit? Why do I want to feel good about myself? I want to have confidence. I want my self-esteem to be up because that then allows me to be the best at whatever else I'm up to. And so along the way, because it takes discipline to stay on a roadmap to actually attain that goal, we lose track of that. We forget about it. We're out to dinner and we think, oh, if I order I'll just eat the French fries tonight. I'll go back to good eating tomorrow. In that moment, I'm not remembering that being healthy and fit and losing a dress size or gaining some muscle mass, it's not present. What's important is to keep the purpose or the goal present with us.
So does that mean you can't treat yourself to, I know I've been on a diet now for a month, okay, yeah. I'd like to have ice cream this one time.
I think actually you have to set up your roadmap so that you're not saying no to yourself every day. You're saying yes and. So yes, I can have this kind of step off the center, and then yes, I'll be back on track this way. So personally, when I'm on a elimination of weight or get a little healthier goal, I make sure that I have a cheat day. So for 6 days, I absolutely stay on track, but I know that on that 7th day, or whatever day we pick, that I can have that 2 bites of a hot fudge sundae or go eat pizza. So it's about saying yes and not being real rigid about it.
Now, you mentioned self-esteem. Now, I know you have a lot of experience in dealing with your leadership university, on dealing with issues on how do you get from one place to the next, but a lot of it seems to fall back on what somebody's self-esteem is and their confidence in achieving something.
Absolutely, Ed. Our self-esteem, our self-confidence rises as we accomplish. And so we have to be able to visualize what that goal will bring us in our lives. So if I'm looking for, you just mentioned weight loss, so health and fitness, how am I going to feel on my 10th anniversary with my husband when I'm back in the size 8 that is my goal? And then what happens in the relationship? I feel better about myself, so I start feeling better about my relationship, and I start bringing more, giving more to the relationship. So self-esteem, self-confidence, it reflects every one of our goals.
Where do you start? I mean, how do you start with, getting to feel better about yourself? Mm-hmm. Are there steps that you can really take to get there?
Absolutely, really simple steps. So first of all, take a look where you are, and then take a moment. What I like to ask people to do is free flow. So either on your computer or you can journal. Just start writing what comes to mind. Let's say you have a goal to open a new business, and you start writing, why do I want to open this new business? I want to add additional income for my retirement. I want to leave a legacy for my children, hand them off a business. Whatever those goals might be, I want to increase the quality of my life currently with my family, and that extra earnings is going to allow us a couple extra vacations a year, college tuition in the bank, and my retirement goes up. So I've got to get clear, be clear about why I want these goals. Then I create, once I'm clear, like the bell rings, that's it, that's the goal. I'm going to buy that franchise, I'm going to have 7 of them, and here's the benefits and the outcomes. and I get clear about all that. Then I make a strategic plan. I call it a personal strategic plan, which is a roadmap from where I am today to the outcome goal, the total goal. And along the way, I have benchmarks, steps I have to take, steps that I would take to buy that business and open it. And then most importantly, to work with that in partnership. So maybe we have business partners, so we hold each other accountable to our roles and our responsibilities. Maybe we have a coach. A lot of people have a professional coach today. Maybe we have a brother, a sister, a partner, a parent. But we want an accountability mechanism built into that where people, check in. Hey, it's the end of week 1. What did we get done? And then most importantly, taking a look at what worked and what didn't work. So being clear about what worked, so that's like the gas pedal in the car. If I know who I need to be and what actions I have to take to have that kind of a result each week, a percentage of increase or actions getting completed, then I want to show up being that person and taking those actions consistently. Then taking a look at what didn't work, and then I know, hey, this doesn't work. What are my options? What's another possibility? It didn't work for me to fit the gym 5 days this week, getting up at 6. I need to get up a half an hour earlier to make sure I get there. So closing the gaps by looking at all the possibilities. And by using accountability like that, I can reevaluate on a weekly basis what shifts I'm going to make and walk into my next week and elevate my results. And just repeat that pattern until I get to my outcome goal.
Yeah, one of the things I know that you do over at Choice, I mean, you have not seminar, what do you call them? Seminars, retreats, or
workshops?
Workshops.
Yeah, courses.
Okay. But you have a workshop, and so you have a group of people to get together, and they each have individual issues and goals and directions that you're trying to personalize. But then as a group, they seem to get together and do group events. And it seems like one of those events that every group does is get together and do something charitable.
Yes.
To help third parties. How important is that in creating the self-esteem and the self-confidence?
It's highly important. We believe it's a pillar of living your life. We call it vision driven. So, I have a vision, and that's what drives me, how I make my choices every day. Learning that giving back as part of my regular daily routine, that's vital for success, because inherently in every one of us, we have in our DNA a need to give back, and it raises our self-esteem, it raises our self-confidence. And it's one of those experiences that once we experience it, we know it. And while it's a concept, it may not make a lot of sense. If I put my focus outward on someone else, I'm taking my focus away from myself or my own goals. But actually, it's a paradox. It's the opposite. When I give, when I focus out and I give back, it brings to me, I attract much bigger opportunities and results. So we use community service projects. You're talking about the teams and leadership that come together, and we give them extraordinarily big. As a matter of fact, to most people, they look impossible, the goal. Right. And then we give them extraordinarily short timelines, and it's one of the mechanisms we use for them to create a big result as a team. They have to access creative genius and skills and talents that they normally don't dig that deep for.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Okay, so for instance, we had a goal, 2 teams just working together. It was about 40 people, 40 adults, and in 7 days they raised $130,000, and that money was directed to Habitat for Humanity to build a home. We were at that dedication for that home 2 weeks ago.
And so you gave them 7 days to raise. How did they go about raising the money? Because because they don't have they're not professional fundraisers.
No,
they don't
not.
have experience in this.
They're not,
yeah.
And we just teach them grassroots fundraising. How to have a vision or a goal. We're going to raise $130,000. We're going to be responsible for giving a family a house at Christmas, and it's really in that vision. Like, we met the family, we get to know them, we know they've worked on project as well. So it's being connected to making that difference, to the actual end result. And then we go out and we raise the funds. So we do that in many ways. We all make a list of people we know and who would like to donate to a holiday home for Habitat family. And we go out and talk to our family and friends. And this is really the identification of what we call the giver game at Choice Center, which is our nonprofit division. And that's that we believe it doesn't take a lot of time, and it doesn't take a lot of money to make a big difference when you bring a group of people together and teach them how.
Because I think most people, feel like, well, what can I do? I can't make a difference. I don't have the skills. I don't have the money. I don't have the, the ability to make a difference. But when you get together and create the mission and give people some of the tools,
absolutely.
I think everybody ends up being surprised on what they can accomplish, and that then, yes, I guess, inspires them in their personal life and in their personal goals.
Well, that's exactly right. That's how we connect it. So if I can wake up and in 7 days with a team of 40 people that I'm on a path with for personal excellence, personal responsibility, reaching my goals both individually and as a team, now I can apply what I've learned. It's hitting that gas pedal to my weight elimination goal, to my relationship goal, to my business goals, because everything that it takes us to be and then take actions out of who we're being, it applies. I always like to say, where I am anywhere, I am everywhere. So it splashes on everything.
Can people really change? Do people change?
Yes, people change. The basics are there. So we've had experiences in our life up until this moment that produce triggers that we relate to things. But when I can see what is working and what isn't working, I can practice. It's practicing good habits. And it takes about 75 to 90 days to change a habit, whether I'm headed in the direction of what will work or what won't work. It takes practice is all it is. It's discipline.
It's more of changing the behavior, though, isn't it? Because let's say you have a propensity to eat.
Yes.
You don't. When you change and you lose weight and you become thin, you still want to,
of course,
eat junk.
Absolutely.
Right. So that never changes. That temptation, that desire, that drive. But what does change is how you react to it, your behavior.
Yeah, it's about responding, so being responsible. And again, I'm going to go back to the basics of, if I have a vision to be healthy and fit, so I'm the best partner I can be in my marriage, I'm the best partner I can be in a business, in my family, then I'm going to keep going back to why I'm going towards that goal. And yes, it's difficult. If you're like me, once I tell myself, okay, I'm going on a program, I probably want the hot fudge sundae that day once I tell myself I'm not going to eat like that. But it's overriding it with the end result being more important than the current circumstance.
Oftentimes, particularly in drug and alcohol programs, people sober, they go through a program, then they relapse. What causes that, and why is that always such an issue with people?
I'm not an expert in rehab at all, Ed. What I know in general about people, and addiction is an entirely different story that we at Choice Center we're not equipped to handle, but we refer people to professional
but
places.
You have people who have had those problems.
Yes,
right,
we do.
That do come to Choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think what's important to remember is no matter what challenges and circumstances we attract and create in our life, it's all about being committed to a result, to a vision, to an end outcome. And I think people with addiction, and a lot of experts say all of us have some level of addiction to something. I love sugar. I love dessert. So I think that could be classified as an addiction. But if I want that health and fitness, or maybe I'm diabetes bound, maybe it's not so much about what I look like, but it's actual health issues, then I've got to put mechanisms in place to support me. It's really about being connected to myself, being connected to what that end result is going to bring me in my life, connected to what difference I make. I mean, certainly we've all had people in our lives that have challenges like addiction, and it breaks the entire family's heart. It breaks all the friends' heart, right? So being aware of how my behavior affects everybody, not just me.
What is the process that you use to effectuate some of these changes? Because I've observed in your program, you have people who seem to go to the university because they want to improve something in their life. And look, in this time period that we're going through, with the economic issues, with the unemployment, with just the the world events that are going on, it's sad, and so you have more people who are just victim to the media, to unemployment, to all these other issues. So a lot of people are in our community, and they're
Yes.
not happy. They don't know where they're going. They're a little bit lost. A lot of us seem to bring baggage with them, because I've sat in on so many of these meetings, and people have, family problems and abuse problems in their background. So, I mean, when you have those kind of issues, how do you overcome them, and how do you overcome the environment in which we live and the complicated world we live today? I mean, it's difficult to adapt to it. It seems that life was simpler, 30 years ago. How do you, put all that away and then just be able to focus on, I guess, the present?
Well, I think the simple answer I can give you right to begin with is to make a choice, is to choose that regardless of external circumstances that we're living in. And you're right, here in Las Vegas, we were the #1 city hit. I don't know where we land right at this moment with house foreclosures in the real estate market. So it's real. I mean, what people are saying is real for them, but we make a choice. And the truth is we attract and create our current results. So why are some people out there thriving in a market like this? Because they made a choice and they got on a path to make it different. So it's really about, again, renewal and reinvention, redesign, like really taking a look at where I've been. Am I still passionate about what I was doing when this crash hit? Maybe it's time for change. Maybe it's time to reevaluate. Real estate's a hot topic here. So I've been a real estate agent for a long time, and I made a great living, and I secured a lot. Maybe I've lost a lot. Maybe being in real estate in a different fashion would be a great choice. You have to go back to the basics of what am I passionate about? What do I want to get to? We have to have a purpose. I don't know who said it, but I've read it many times. People without purpose perish. And for me, that means from the inside out, like where I'm in stress, I'm upset about the financial loss in the future. I've got to get back to basics and create a vision that'll move me forward. And I've got to be willing to be connected to what's going on in the world, but not be a victim to what's going on in the world. And it's back to personal responsibility. If it's up to me to get up and make those changes, then I've got to create a roadmap and decide. There's a lot of people in our city that are thriving right now. And it's back to that key of making a choice and then creating an action plan.
You also have leadership programs for teenagers.
Yes.
I have teenagers.
You have beautiful teenagers.
And when I am driving them to school, when they want to listen to certain radio stations, and the music is a whole lot different than it was when I was growing up.
Of course.
And I am, by far, not as square as a lot of parents are. I mean, but some of the music and some of the concerts today are far different than what we're comfortable with. And we get concerned as parents. Are our children, on this down cycle of morality and responsibility and work ethic? You experience this. I mean, you see these kids, you work with these kids all the time. What's going on with our teenagers? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is it the same?
I think it is whatever the parents decide it is. So inside of our homes is where it all starts. Personal responsibility is really what you're referring to. There are teenagers that listen to the music that you may feel is not a positive influence. There are teenagers that choose not to. So I think it's about how we hold accountability in our homes and the, moral code, as you're talking about, or what I call the core principles of our family. And of course, we're all greatly influenced by outside influence. But, again, back to what's the goal? Working with teenagers about what they want. We can, when they're 12, 13, it's start talking about college and end results and developing those goals. It's the same thing. What drives us? What those influences are that drive us? And, good people make poor choices. It's part of being on the journey of being a human being. We make poor choices and we fall down, and it's just important that we get back up. So directed towards teenagers, I think it's about open, honest dialogue. The teens that come through our teen leadership program, literally in 3.5 days, go from I don't want to do my homework if that's their challenge, or my mom doesn't let me, or my dad makes me, and by Sunday, the third day, they're clear in personal responsibility about, there's choices and there's consequences. So what are the consequences, the outcomes they want? And kids really teach us so much, don't they? I mean, they teach us a lot of great things. Yeah, I mean, we can watch our kids. They're flexible. They shift and change quickly. So, come on down to a teen leadership graduation and you'll see miracles. Yeah.
How do you maintain it? I mean, you spend 3 days in your program for teens, or you spend your adult programs a little bit longer, right?
Yes.
And okay, but then eventually it ends.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
Then what happens?
Well, what happens is you have, first of all, a roadmap, because while you're in the adult course, you're in the leadership program for 100 days. You're in the course 1 weekend a month, 4 weekends in a row. And so you're learning, you're creating a tool belt like we've talked about this morning, talking about a personal strategic plan. You've got that to use for the rest of your life. You mentioned something earlier that I can probably answer specifically here. Most people need to change their actions. Before I change my actions, what we teach is context and content. Most people are just looking at the content. If I change my actions, I'll get a different result. In reality, what we teach is take a look at who I am. Take a look at who I'm being. If I'm in a relationship and I'm being closed down, and I'm holding my partner in their history that's just how they are. They're grumpy, they don't have a great work ethic, da-da-da-da-da. Or I can make a new choice. I can be open and accepting and empowering and inspiring. And from that place, who I'm being with my partner is completely different. And just in our energy, I'm going to rise them to a different choice. And of course, in partnership, like I'm talking about, we're having a common vision. So it's really about taking a look at who am I in the world? Who am I for people and who are people for me? Great question to ask ourselves every single day.
Mm-hmm. And you also work with couples.
Yes.
As well, right?
Yes.
Because in the example you gave, you really had, you said in partnership. What happens if you have one partner who's, at a different place? Can you still improve your relationship by yourself?
Yes, absolutely, because what I'm learning and who I'm being, I'm bringing home to that partnership. And at Choice we laugh about this. I go to the course and I go home and gosh, my husband changes or my children are different. It's who I'm being and the choices I'm making that generate them to respond to me differently. So that's what we call 100% personal responsibility. Who do I need to be to create the results I say that I'm up to everywhere?
Yeah, and when you do get both partners in, then it's more effective, I would think.
Of course it is. It's an elevated effectiveness in a smaller time frame because we're getting on the same page. Oftentimes couples come in and they've had separate goal paths and they realize that's part of the static. So working together on where do we want to be as a couple and where do we want to be as a family and growing together like that's very empowering experience.
And how important is language and the words you use in communication?
Great question, Ed. Highly important. Like maybe number one in getting started is recognizing that what I say is exactly what I'm going to create. We're very powerful with our words, and our words demonstrate where we're coming from. Where we're coming from comes out of our mouth as a conversation. That conversation then becomes a reality.
So is it a matter of modifying how you say something or what comes natural to you? And when you say something, oftentimes what you mean is not what somebody else means or intends from what you're saying.
It's learning how to say what you mean and mean what you say to just kind of start. It's where I'm coming from. So learning if I'm coming from, I'm never going to lose this weight. I've been on 20 diets and it doesn't work. And even if I stay on this particular program and lose 10 pounds, it's going to come back. If that's my self-talk, it's usually coming out my mouth and I'm saying it to my friends or in general, maybe when I'm ordering my meal. Well, guess what? I'm going to keep recreating that over and over, which is why I go back the vision. If I have a vision to be healthy and fit and confident and have my self-esteem go up, then I'm going to take actions that come from there. And my conversation will reflect where I'm coming from.
How about the things you can't change?
Such as?
Well, your height, your sex, you're bald.
Okay.
The things you can't change.
All right. Well, the things I can't change, I think what's important is to focus on what I can change, and with what I can't change, to be in acceptance of myself. It's real important that we love ourselves just the way we are, and all of us have strength. You know, I'd like to think, I actually believe that every single human being lands on the planet with, in their DNA, with a very individual, unique gift to give back, every one of us. I think it's about focusing on what do we have to be and give back, and that brings a fullness to our life through that giving back, that, you know, only you can give back who you are. There'll never be another Ed Bernstein.
Right. And the world is thankful for that. So, how do people get in touch with you, Robyn?
They can reach us on our website at ChoiceCenter.com, or they can give us a call directly down to the university.
And you have a class starting soon,
January
right?
19th is the first class of the year, traditionally the biggest, as you mentioned. Everybody's got goals and getting started on a new path.
And how many classes do you give throughout the year?
10. Yes.
So,
10 of the core curriculum. We have
right.
18 different courses we offer.
Right, and you have courses with couples, you have courses with kids, you have courses with women.
Courses
and
with
men.
family.
Yeah.
We have a business course for
Right.
people who want to expand their business.
Well, it sounds like great stuff.
Thanks so much.
What's your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution is to increase the enrollment at the Choice Center by 50% this year, because we know that when people come and join us, they expand and accelerate their lives, and that's what we're up to. That's my vision.
Okay. And what's your resolution? Well, figure it out and take some steps, and we'll see you next week.